there are many choices that mother makes that are not necessarily good to do in real life. But I think it all comes out of what she believes in. She believes that that is the right thing to do at that moment, you know, so it comes from a genuine place in her because she doesn't know that it's bad, you know, she's only 6 years old at the time or whatever. So,
Sure.
Yeah, if that answers.
No, that does. That does. I should have phrased that a little bit better in hindsight. Abu, how do you think your character's moral compass differs from that of Mother's?
Yeah, I think the way that Father almost approaches, I guess, morality is more of the sense. I think the way it's about what is best for the children, rather than necessarily the mission to a degree. And I think that affects his morality. I mean, even though he is supposed to be raising these children and raising humanity, but, you know, there's a difference in this, in the sense of like, and it's explored within, you know, within the first episode of the idea of, you know, Father sees no hope for, you know, Campion being on his own, and almost goes against the mission by, you know, trying to call for the Mithraic, because he sees maybe that will help his progression, whereas Mother sees that as a danger. And I think, you know, and that's sort of the question of rather than necessarily morality, but of the difficulties of parenting, like how, you know, what is the right or wrong way of doing it. You know, both equally are right in their, you know, in what they say. I mean, you know, when the Mithraic come over, they are threatening, but at the same time, they are probably Campion's best, you know, port of survival. So yeah, I'd say, and yeah, so that's kind of, I'd say, where the difference is.
This is a question open to both of you. Do you feel that there was a moment on set where you both really grew as actors and went beyond your own expectations of yourselves?
Every day.
Yeah.
Not easy playing an android.
Yeah. No, I think just the opportunity to dive into android land is like an opportunity you would like. When does that happen to us? You know, there are these few parts in life where you just are able to have so much fun and go so far beyond anything that you can imagine, really, because I wouldn't have imagined to be an android ever. So, and that really turns on your imagination, and you have so much fun doing that, you know.
Sure.
So yeah, but definitely flying and screaming and killing people over and over again can be nerve-wracking in front of 150 people sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely say like it was definitely an environment that really was nurturing in its own regard. And I think, again, the cast, the crew, just the team as a whole were really open to allowing you to grow and allowing you to sort of explore and play. And I think that
so
was
supportive.
Really, it was brilliant. And I think that's what was so lovely about the whole project as a whole.
How are you doing, Aaron?
Good. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great. I'm curious, from a production standpoint, what was one of the biggest challenges you faced on set?
Biggest challenges on set. There were so many, really, and yet I think in a lot of ways, the way we chose to do things, the way Ridley works, you know, in terms of really building things, you know, we had real ships built, and we had a real sort of settlement and real places for characters to go in and out of, you know, and I think that helps a lot, because I think one of the big challenges with something like this is getting the actors into the moment, you know, to really, you're on an alien planet, you know, and there's a thing over here, and you know, this is not Earth, you know, really getting them into that place. And I think, you know, part of the way we were able to do it is literally by building it, you know, kind of doing a lot of things old school, where you would really have, you know, real stuff to look at. There's a real ship. You can walk inside of it. You know, you don't have to completely imagine that it's there. You can really transport yourself. And I think that helped a lot in terms of that.
Do you think there were any particularly surprising moments you had when you were working with Ridley Scott that really stand out for you?
Oh, there were so many. I think I think just the way he problem solves and on the fly, he is incredibly fast in figuring out just ways to fix a problem on the fly, and it's not going to cost us any extra money, and we're still going to get it done on time, on budget, and it's incredible. And I can't come up with a specific example. I think there was one example actually when Amanda was covered completely with blood after there's a scene where she basically massacres everyone on a ship. And she's covered with all this blood. And in the next scene, we knew that she was going to get cleaned up before she goes in and presents herself to these children that she is going to be kidnapping. But we didn't quite have the thing worked out. And he had come up with this sort of, basically UV light chamber type of idea kind of on the fly. And it just looked so amazing. And it was just one of those examples of really, just problem solving in a real kind of like, this is what we have to work with. This, we need to solve this problem, but it needs to be awesome. How can we do that, in an hour, and that,
of course,
it was great.
The war between secularism and religion in the show reflects a lot of the conflict that goes on our own planet. Why was that particular arena chosen to drive the plot of Raised by Wolves?
I think so much of it has to do with faith, just faith in general, what human beings decide to put their faith in, whether it be a religion or a technology or a person, whatever it might be, and just trying to kind of play these things out. I don't think we really kind of take a side and say, I think really what we're saying is human beings need a purpose and,
Sure.
something to kind of bind them together. And, sometimes, despite the fact that it's bullshit, religion can do that, and sometimes technology can do it too. But both kind of come up short at the end of the day, so it's trying to find that, what is it? How do we find our purpose?
Of course. Well, thank you so much. I think that's all the time we have, but congrats on the show and can't wait to see season 2.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What do you think is the defining trait of your character?
She's resourceful. She can adapt.
One of those lizards.
She's a chameleon. But she is a chameleon. She takes on, the embodiment of another person. And I would say she's a rebel.
So how, as an actor, how do you bring that aspect out of her?
Well, it's already there in the script. You've already been kind of set up as someone who was playing someone else. So I think for me, it was discovering who Mary was before she became Sue. So it's finding that and finding those characteristics and traits and finding out what drives Mary and then trying to conceal that with Sue.
Sure. And Trav, yeah, were you going to say something, Travis?
No, just so many names. Sneeve, Sue.
So just to be clear, we like our character names were like Mary and Caleb, and then they become Sue and Marcus.
I know, you must get them confused all the time. Travis, what do you think your character struggles with the most morally? Like, what is that internal moral conflict that he wrestles with?
That's a good question. Shit. I think some people let their childhood get the best of them, and sometimes there's my character's obviously got a lot of flaws, but I think he just really struggles with not being loved and thinking he's not worth anything and that sort of stuff, and then he's never had a something to look forward to. Like, he's never had a goal. He never saw anything great or good, and sometimes I feel like he's just surviving, which is mentally and physically, he's just surviving, but he's not getting anything from life, and certainly he's hoping there's going to be something different and convinces Niamh to go on this journey to a different planet, and he finds out that there's not much more there either. It's just there's still friction between religions and non-believers and believers, and unfortunately it ends the Earth, and it's probably going to end this planet as well before it even gets started.
Well, speaking of worlds crumbling, it seems like in 2020 that we're on the brink of disaster all the time. But so it makes the show seem very timely. How has both of your involvements on this show made you reflect about yourselves and the world at large?
Well, we're always talking about it today, but I still think it's people not respecting other people and their beliefs, and it's okay for people to think what they think as long as you're not hurting anybody else. And but if you do get caught up in your own beliefs and think other people are so wrong and there's so much hate, and that's why there's been wars in the past, and there could be wars very soon here, and it looks like in the future there's going to be still bickering over the same stuff.
I think in that time, especially during the lockdown, it's like it's the struggle that you face with not being able to connect with other people. I think we're social creatures, and we've all been forced to separate and not see one another. And I think that is something that definitely defines what it is to be human, is the social interaction.
Yeah, and one thing in many ways it's brought the world together. We all have to do the same thing, and it's funny, it's always a struggle, even for people to wear masks. It's like, just do it. We're all doing it together. Selfish people and go and do stuff that they were told not to, and then bring it home to their families.
Yeah, I love seeing when people bring the mask down, like just below their nose.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's not hurting you. Just do it instead of thinking.
That's true. That idea of collective responsibility, people need to get more on board.
Yeah, and Niamh said something great earlier about it's so sad that you see the masks on the ground now. Like, we haven't learned anything about taking care of the world. People just throw them on the ground. There's pictures on the internet of it, of the ocean. You know how bottles wash up now. There's face masks washed up on beaches and that.
Well, maybe in 2021 we'll learn those lessons finally. Well, I have to wrap, but thank you to both of you. Congratulations on the show, and I hope you both get an opportunity to be in season 2 when we're all able to be on the same than 6 feet of each other. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers, man.